It's been a hot, muggy day in Cienfuegos, so what do you do on a Saturday night? You go to a cooler part of town. And that cooler part of town, not only in temperature, but also in atmosphere, would be Punta Gorda. You'll be amazed what you'll find along this 3.5-kilometer walk. You don't see any of those girls twerping. No, say Svengali and another one I don't know. Please leave a note for these to help me identify these people. Along the way, the intimate hotel Encanto Palacio Azul, painted powder blue. It was originally built in 1921 and used as a private residence by a wealthy tobacco baron. Remember, the 1920s was a golden age of Cienfuegos based upon tobacco and particularly sugar. Right next door is the club Cienfuegos with a multitude of activities. It is renowned for its wedding cake architecture, its magnificent sunsets, and its food. Even though it is a state-run restaurant, it is also right next to one of the few yacht clubs in all of Cuba. It is alleged that in Cuba, everybody has a casa, a house that they can call their own. And these along here are certainly not shabby, and people can sell their homes, as is illustrated here, maison à vendre. Being as nice as they are, they're an absolute slam dunk to be a casa particular. As you can see down the street, here is another hostal. I wouldn't want to stay in this particular area because you are a good 45 minutes walk to downtown. Facing south, and this is what Cubans do on a Saturday evening. This is the place to hang out. Enjoy the evening, enjoy the Saturday evening, because you can't go to the hotels. So what are you going to do? Hey! Muy bien, muy bien. At this point, I'm having a bit of fun with the Juventud, or Youth of Cuba. There's even an island on the south coast of Cuba called Isla de la Juventud. ¿De dónde está?
Tírala, tírala. Está grabando. Vamos, tírala, vamos. Tira, tira.
¿Cómo se llama usted?
Daniel.
¿Y usted?
Claudia.
Es Matiri.
Matiri. Matiri, ¿y usted?
Lady.
¿Cómo se llama?
Daniel.
Daniel.
¿Y tú cómo te llamas? Oye, ¿y tú cómo te llamas?
Canadá.
Nosotros te llamamos Canadá. Se llama Estados Unidos.
Buenas noches. Buenas noches. Hi guys, how are you? Good to see you. Hey. Good looking guy. Hombre bueno. Okay. As I turn into Avenida Cuatro, I am now only minutes away from the end of Punta Gorda. I am overcome with this lovely tropical feeling, so typical of Key West, Florida. Remember, Key West is only 100 miles from Havana. Here I am looking at the restaurant Pelican, where I'll end up eating later on that same evening. Right next door, however, I find the Villa Teresa, a wonderful, wonderful casa particular. Here I met Teresa and Julio, owners of this casa particular. They gave me a tour. Not surprisingly, considering the elegance and location of Villa Teresa, it was occupied, but I wasn't looking. I was staying downtown in a casa particular for $30. So nothing wrong with this interior. Everything was nicely colored, coordinated, and they had 5 or 6 rooms with a courtyard, and he's about to take me up to the top level. He's a little shaky because he's had a few drinks, and I'm cautioning him to be careful. But we go up the winding staircase, and there at the top you get one of the best views in all of Punta Gorda. Let's see, just keep going up, and there you are at the top. And that's all yours if you're staying at the Casa Teresa. And from the top, he points out in the distance, not visible, a refinery, oil refinery that is, the oil coming from Cuba's former best friend, Hugo Chavez. You see his picture all over Cuba. And there is one more amazing or astounding view from here. Let me show it to you. I was frankly stunned, but there off in the distance was the unmistakable profile of a nuclear reactor. Yes, that was built during the Soviet era, when the Soviets invested $5 billion a year into Cuba. That all ended in 1991. The nuclear reactor is now disactivated. By the way, I wanted to say that if your family was able to hold on to a piece of property like this and you convert it into a casa particular and you're being paid in CUCs, the convertible cook, which is equivalent to an American dollar, you're a millionaire in Cuba. And look at this. This is as good as Key West. Well, at least Ernest Hemingway thought so, because he spent a lot of time in Key West and he spent a lot of time in Cuba too. And I love Key West and I love Cuba. Okay, now it's the final 100-yard dash down to the end of Punta Gorda. What a name, Punta Gorda. Along the way, I find more evidence of architecture that reminds me of Key West. This surely was an era of grandeur in Cuba. Here I find the Perla del Sur, the Pearl of the South, which turns out to be a hospitality and hotellerie school, so it must be owned by El Estado, the state of Cuba. They certainly realize the value of tourism. It's got to be their number one import. So from here on, it's just a pleasant stroll to the end of Punta Gorda and what they call the Centro Rectivo La Punta, a place for Cubans to hang out and play and enjoy the scenery. As I run across some lovely people, the Cubans are so warm and welcoming, especially the ladies. Llama?
De Yumai.
You said?
Dalia. De Mari. Los Ángeles.
Okay, muchas gracias, okay? Almost at the end, I find a place that looks almost like a castle. But considering how there's a trans-tour bus parked in front of it, it must be a hotel. So yes, the architecture doesn't quit as I approach the entrance to the Centro Recreativo de La Punta, and just off to the right is what people do on a cool Saturday evening. They go swimming right there, and off in the distance, yes, once again, the nuclear reactor. So don't give up walking down here until you see this sign, Bienvenidos La Punta. Welcome to La Punta. It is a recreational area, as you can see, with boats, paddle boats, and yes, a place to take a ron or a rum. At the very end, you will find this lovely pavilion, a place for you to reflect on the wonderful walk you just made from downtown Cienfuegos to this particular point, which is visited by so few foreigners, at least according to what I saw. Now, about supper back at the restaurant Pelican.
Yes, very good restaurant.
Very good restaurant.
We have all are very fresh.
Oh, yes, right. Thank
We
you.
have a terrace up there.
Oh yes, that looks like the nicest place in Cienfuegos.
Ah, sí.
Pelicano Bar and Restaurant. A special place with a majestic view to both sides of the bay in Punta Gorda. We open our doors when the magic of sunset occurs at the same time the sun touches the ocean. I am really splurging tonight as I'm having a Cristal, that wonderful Cuban beer, and a fruit salad along with a fish dish, all for $13, which is a big sum of money in Cuba, but I guess I'm paying for the view. Here is the delicious fruit salad, so typical of Cuba, and the Cristal beer, which is going down really, really quickly on a hot night. My fish dish, it turned out to be a pargo in Spanish, meaning a snapper. It turned out to be incredibly delicious, as was this arroz con gris, the Cuban rice, made of rice and black beans. Delicious, just simply delicious. And what would you expect in a restaurant where you pay $13 for a meal? Well, musicians who sing eloquently for a propina or a tip. Che ci guarda da lassù, parla più piano che di più vicino a me, voglio sentire. On my way back, I dropped in at the Centro Cultural Julio Antonio Mella, where loud disco music attracted my attention. Who'd have thunk it? Twerping in Cuba. After that display, I went across the street to the Ayagua Hotel for something a little calmer. Just to counter that last musical blast, here's a group playing in the Ayagua Hotel. It's the other side of music. You don't see any of those girls twerping. I'll end this blog with an interesting display of celebrities found in the lobby of the hotel. For the Rogues Gallery, how many can I identify? Barbara could identify them all, I can't. Morgan Freeman. Lady Gaga, or is it Winehouse? No, not Lady Gaga. It's Amy Winehouse, of course. Meryl Streep. No say. Barbara Streisand. No say. Couldn't remember at the time, but that's certainly Anthony Hopkins of Silence of the Lamb fame. Of course, Michael Jackson, Sean Penn, John Lennon. Here's a hell of a portrait of Clint Eastwood. Who's this guy here? Okay, how about Andy Warhol? Who's this guy? Is that Cronkite?
Oh, I know. It's going to take me a while to figure that out.
It's not Cronkite, eh? Okay, they're all actors. Okay, Bon Jovi? No, the last guy was not Cronkite, and this is not Bon Jovi. This is Jim Morrison. No say. Svengali? And another one I don't know. Please leave a note for these to help me identify these people. Thank you for viewing, and join me again next Friday for more about exciting Cienfuegos.